All right, so we're back. Michael Ketchen podcast, episode 2. Matthew Hitchcock is back with us again, and one of my good buddies, Bill Murray from KB4 Property. How are we doing?
Great, man. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Yes, and thank you for coming. And one of the reasons I wanted you, when I was thinking about how I wanted to do this show and who I wanted right away, you were one of the guys at the top. Because similar to me and Matt, unlike a lot of these social media gurus and these bullshit marketers, you're actually doing this stuff. And just like me and Matt, you left our job. You left a job, right? A pretty good job for me, I know, right?
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about what was the job you left?
Yeah, so I was let's call me the COO. I call myself just the company leader. I'm not a title guy.
COO?
Yeah, so
I ran a C-suite on us 5 seconds into this?
I did, but I don't like the title. Like, it's more, I ran a staffing company. Yeah. We ran travel nursing, travel allied professionals, healthcare, nationwide. Mm-hmm. We grew the business from 6 million to 75 million on just the travel side, and then got bought out by private equity.
And that's what it went at.
So then the private equity came in and started telling us what to do, and that was time for me to go.
Fair, very fair.
I love the change, the corporate change and how it all goes. All right.
That was the same with me when we were talking, me working the sales job and then having management all change over, and I was like, this is not where I want to be anymore.
Oh, 100%.
No.
That's a perfect segue into what I wanted to get into, because I was talking to someone the other day, and they were talking about, we had episode 1, they gave us great feedback. They're like, you guys are authentic, you really left. And I was like, well, Bill's kind of the same way, and I'm going to bring some other people on in the similar vein. Jack's another guy. I'll ask you first, and then I'll throw it to you. Why real estate? Why not something else? Why not? I mean, you're at a $75 million company, you're managing Volt. Why real estate? Why get into real estate investing and do all this crazy shit that we do?
Well, for us, when we got into it, we just, again, as we said last time, just a side hustle. I didn't know that real estate was going to be the path necessarily.
Yeah.
However, at the same time, we know a lot of successful people. And even, I'll bring up my uncle, for example. My uncle, when we used to have holidays, he would talk a little bit about real estate and how he owned some things, but I didn't really think anything of it. But then fast forward, I'm like, oh, well, he doesn't work a job.
And rich dad, poor dad in real life.
Yeah, he doesn't work a job, and he just gets rents gets mailed to him, and he just gets to travel and all that. So I was like, well,
first of the month,
there must be something to real estate. So that's just kind of randomly how we got into it. But
yeah, and I'll never forget typical Matt, when I call Matt to ask him if he wants to do real estate, he's like, yeah, dog, I'm in. There was no sales pitch, there was nothing. I'm like, that's Matt Hitchcock in a nutshell.
That's funny.
I mean, I was in education. I wasn't making any fucking money. So I didn't have those problems.
Yep.
You're leaving this is PE.
That's
this
true.
Is the corporate.
Yeah. You're high up.
Pot of gold. Was your wife like, Bill, you're a fucking idiot? How did this happen?
Well, I mean, she married me, so.
Yeah, what was the transition like? Why not go back into corporate?
Well, twofold. I loved what I was doing.
Yeah.
And I had free range. The owner of first thing, the owner, it's not mine. I grew from 6 million to 75 million. I saw very little than what the buyout was.
I'm to your point right there, and I tell people all the time, what do we talk about? Don't build your castle on someone else's sand.
That's it.
Right?
That's
when you're building a company, and I know a couple people in my life right now this applies to, if you're building a company for somebody else, they ultimately make the decisions. Right, so
100%.
Exactly.
To emphasize that again.
Yeah,
6 million to 75 million, but you didn't own it.
Making somebody else rich.
That's it. Yeah, they sold the company. There's 2 owners for 80-something million.
Yeah, and I'm sure they took care of you at your buyout, but they ultimately leveraged you.
Oh yeah,
your skill set. The other team, now they took the risk. That's capitalism.
Well,
I'm not saying that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But you saw that, and did that lead you into wanting to be an entrepreneur?
Well, that's it. And I mean, that's when I was. Before we got bought out, I mean, I'm starting to think now, what am I doing? I don't want to be doing this when I'm 50, 60. I want to be running my own thing. What's the best way to create wealth? And then I bumped into real estate. You start, reading, learning, but then it's also taking that jump. You could sit there. I can read with the best of them, and I can research with the best of them and not do anything, and it's a lot easier that way.
It is.
You can say like, hey, I'm in real estate. What do you mean? Oh, I read a ton about it. But
we know a lot of those guys. Yeah. What's my?
There's not a lot of stress in reading.
Yeah.
No, dude. And I say it all the time. We should get that on a fucking t-shirt.
Not a lot of stress in reading?
Yeah. No, that's a good one. No, I was gonna say the thing I put it out there a couple years ago, but everyone's a shooter until it's time to squeeze.
Yeah.
It is so true. Like everyone's like, I'll do this, I'll do that. No, you fucking won't.
Yeah.
Get in the fucking arena and do it. Like just do it or shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
Because those are the first people to criticize with the loud mouth and oh, you could have done this, you could have done that, or he's making so much money. That's my favorite, right? It goes from you're fucking crazy, why do this, to oh well, why do you have so much? Those evil capitalists.
Yep.
Well, do you remember all that risk and all that delta in between? Were you personally guaranteeing $20 million in debt? Were you going and buying buildings and dealing with fucking crackheads and AR-15s getting shot? Shout out Northgate, getting shot at buildings like. Dude, I mean, we have one building we bought. I'll never forget this. I've told this story before, but I don't know it on a podcast. We're cleaning up buildings, so we buy C-class buildings, and we knew there was a few prostitutes in the building. And one of them, I was there and I was showing one of our new employees at the time, hey, you just got to address it. You got to get her out of this. So I go knock on the door, and I was turned, and I'm turned as I'm knocking. So when she opens the door. Dude, I turned my head and I must have jumped 6 feet backwards. And I have seen some things, and I was not ready for that. And it was a mess. She was a prostitute, a freaking poor kid almost drowned in a tub the day we bought the building. It was a mess. But yeah, that's the risk you take.
Yeah.
But you own the upside because you take the risk. So is that kind of the mindset going into it?
Yeah, that 100%. And I figured while I was working and I had a good paying job, like, there's not as much risk for me when I'm making money that I can invest into the property.
For sure,
and so that's how I got started. And I'm nowhere near where I want to be now, I'm further along than where I anticipated, but not where I want to be. Same thing back then. Well, when push came to shove, PE came in, they started hiring their own people, and then they started telling me what and how to do, and I'm like, I ain't living like this. But I had already started my real estate journey, which I'm like, all right, I'm going all in.
Yeah, going all in.
And that's it.
Yeah, and then you are similar to me, and we never talked about this, and this is something I think would help a lot of people, and this is where it's different with Matt. You go tell your wife that you're basically going to do real estate, but you're already married. You have a family.
Yeah.
Me and my wife, she owns a company with us. We said we're going to do real estate. Matt, what was it like when you meet your spouse, you've got your family, and you're doing something that is a very unconventional path?
Yeah.
Like, I don't understand. Like, I remember talking to Hannah about it, and I was like, I wonder what this is. Because, when someone asks what's your job, like, I lose millions of dollars each year with depreciation.
No, I always feel like a douche when people are like, they're like, oh, what do you do? I'm like, I invest in real estate. It's like, what?
Yeah.
You bougie fuck. Like,
No, I mean, I guess I wouldn't say I got lucky. I guess timing's everything because when we got into it, I was doing my W-2 job with the real estate. Then I didn't meet my wife when I went full time. So when I went full time, we already actually supplemented our full time work income.
Yep.
So at that point, when I met her, she's like, "Oh, what do you do?" I'm a real estate investor. I was pretty well established, and we'd go out to dinner. I would pay for dinner, just normal things that you take for granted, sort of.
Yeah.
And so at that point, she was like, "Well, he must be legit," because. So I was.
He's
fine.
a Netflix
He's legit,
documentary.
that's it.
Who's the guy renting the plane? One woman pays for it, and the other one.
The Tinder swindler. Yeah, except he was trying to get money from
Tinder
one
swindler?
person
I
and
don't
then
know.
paying for this date, and then he was doing this
He
one.
must be legit because he's paying for dinner. I thought that was
like
called.
it.
That's
Being
it.
a gentleman, but Matthew Hitchcock, everyone.
No, the bar is very low on the online dating. My wife will tell you the bar is very low.
Oh, it is.
Yeah, thank
I've
God.
heard that.
Thank God,
Yes.
I'm not cut for that, dude. If I had to go back in the arena now, oh my God, you worry about your fucking pronouns and your fucking identifies, and
There's a lot of that.
I know. I tell Hannah every day. I've already said it. If God forbid she ever leaves me, I'm just done. I'm just take it all. I'm moving to a tiki bar. I'm selling everything. I'm out of here. I'm going to have some cigars in Cuba. And
There you go.
Leave me alone. But yeah, no. That's back to the other thing. The upside, though. Being a real estate investor, all three of us, it is the upside, right? It's the lifestyle. And that's what attracted me after I realized how much money there was. But I remember being younger and just thinking like, how do you make money, right? Like sales. I didn't even kind of understand that because everyone goes, what's sales? And I remember like our generation growing up, and it's almost been like intentional. Like money is like remember like they always like attack like Scrooge McDuck, like he was the bad guy. Wealth is bad. This fucking country was built by wealthy people. And it's really, as I've got more successful, it stood out to me, it's like an intentional attack, right? It's intentionally attacked. How do you talk to your kids about wealth and what you do, Bill?
Well, now they know what I do, right?
Yep.
Because they used to see me dress up, go to work every day.
So you're saying that this isn't dressed up? Is that what
shorts,
you're saying?
This is my attire. This is
Work
part
attire.
of the This is the biggest thing. You know me, I always wear flip-flops when it's nice out. Flip-flops, shorts, t-shirt. That's
Oh, my
it.
goodness
But
gracious.
they
Kenny
know.
Chesney of real estate.
That's it.
Yeah.
Chesney.
I'm going to this concert.
Oh,
Yeah, so you're just like, you're a country guy?
Yeah, man.
Okay, you like a Zack Bryan guy?
Yeah, listen, I listen to all
You
of
listen
them.
to Zack Bryan because Zack
Yes.
Bryan is great. I mean,
Yep.
there's country and there's Zack Bryan.
No,
I'm
I listen
borderline
to Zack-
obsessed at this point.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
No,
Even
I'm
producer Nick, who's like 21, knows who Zack Bryan is.
I know who Zack
because
Bryan
of
is. Yeah,
Government
I'm a
Listening.
big fan. I'm a big fan of a lot of the country artists.
So the Kenny Chesney of real estate. Yes,
Yeah,
now you
yeah,
kids
yeah.
realize that
Let's not
dad
go
just
that far.
it's 5 o'clock somewhere or whatever the fuck
Yeah.
is going on.
Well, you know what's funny is same thing with your kids, what you say and what you do, are two different things, right? So I can tell my kids something all the time. If I say, you got to eat healthy, you got to work out, and if I'm not doing it, if I'm fat, out of shape, they're probably not going to follow me, right?
Yeah.
But if I'm telling them, you're working out, doing this, and I'm doing it constantly, then they just by observation they start, learning. All right, I'm seeing what you're doing, I'm liking it. Same thing now with the real estate. Now they start seeing me. All right, Dad's working downstairs, or he's going into an apartment. I'm going to go with him. I'm going to see how the sausage is made. I see rent checks. Still, we get them in mail sometimes, but I see a rent check come in
Unfortunately,
here.
we do too.
Yeah,
Fucking
Get
checks.
rid of it.
Is there anything worse than when you get like you buy a new building in the first 60 days? Are everyone on checks?
Terrible.
Like we just bought a 60 unit and everyone paid by check, and I was ready to.
It's crazy.
I mean,
It is funny though. Like
it's insane. I go to the bank and they hate me.
It's
I
a
know.
I
pain
hate
in the
myself
ass
for doing it.
It's a pain in the ass, but at the same time, it's like you're complaining about receiving money.
I know. At least you're receiving.
Well, when he puts
right?
it that way, yeah.
Right?
At least you're
Yes, when he
receiving.
I mean, I
that
do
way.
hate it, but I also love it.
We
So.
just pissed off. Between
Yeah.
that and the pronoun line, I realized I said.
Yeah.
Which you said something else, so I'm going back, and we're going way out of left field, but I got to get you guys' thoughts on this real quick, because this hit me yesterday. You said something a second ago. You can't tell your kids to work out to not then be a fat piece of shit.
Yep.
Speaking of business, speaking of working out, there's discipline. You guys are both in great shape. I'm trying to get in great shape. Do you know that it's something like 1 out of like 10 Americans now, something like that's like on Ozempic?
I've heard the numbers
Yes.
are super
It's
high.
insane.
I've heard.
My wife just told me yesterday a story. The girl who does her nails is like 20 pounds overweight. I mean, not a,
Yeah.
go to the gym, you fucking
Yeah.
fat ass. The doctor, she couldn't get it prescribed because she was missing one of the things. So the doctor gave her all the samples that were provided by the medical company. The sample is a 3-month sample. So this girl's got like 3 free years of Ozempic. And I'm like,
ridiculous.
can anyone tell me how this ends well?
It doesn't.
No.
Doesn't.
Like, is this not the fentanyl crisis 2.0? Like, what are we doing here?
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of people, a lot of issues in the next few years.
oh yeah.
And it shows up like the success. Like when you work out, like the first time you meet a guy like Bill, the first time you meet a guy like Matt, you're like, okay, when someone's in shape, what assumptions? Before I answer, what do you guys, if you see someone who's in shape, what do you think about that person right away?
Discipline.
Disciplined, yeah.
Discipline.
Yeah.
Right?
Self-motivated.
We are
Yep.
trying to cut out, think about where society's at as a whole with business and everything we're talking about, the risk, the upside. Everyone wants a shortcut. And now they have found a way to make a shortcut. And oh, by the way, the downside is it paralyzes your stomach. But don't worry about that. We are going to go and we're going to be okay, which is just, dude, thank God there are guys like you with kids who are trying to show them the right way to do it. I
Yeah.
mean, I can't even imagine.
No, it's crazy. It's crazy. I don't understand it. I mean, I get it because it's the easy way, it's the quick way, it's
Yeah.
the quick fix, but it doesn't teach you anything.
Yeah.
It doesn't really help you in the long run.
No, it's a fucking shortcut.
Yeah.
It's a lack of discipline. And
Well,
it's like,
it's also, it wasn't even meant to be for
Well, that's
that.
it. That's
It was
the
meant to be
bigger
for
point.
diabetes.
it's like a diabetic.
Which
Yes.
it's supposed to be like a life-changing thing for if you have diabetes. It's supposed to be like a legit
Yeah.
thing for that. And then they were like, "Oh, people are losing weight. We can market this to people
Yeah.
that are just
Is
lazy."
that really how it happened?
Yeah.
That's literally it.
Dude, I remember I was at the doctor, like, it was like 9 months ago, whatever, at this point. And I've been working out about a year. I mean, I
Yeah.
was down. But I still have a ways to go. But you're getting after it. And I've shared this story before. My dad died, 46, and he did not take care of himself at all. So trying to be proactive. And the fucking guy is like, hey, I can give you this new drug called Ozempic. And the guy goes to my gym. He sees my MyZone. He sees me there working. And I was
He pays for personal training.
I
outside,
was
too.
all, yeah, he doesn't. Like,
I
I've
know,
seen
but
him
still.
work out. Like, he's not crazy, yes. The point is, though, I was so pissed that I was like, hey, when did we get to a point as society where I remember I went on Instagram and I was like, he should have told me, hey, stop being a fucking fat ass, make some changes, and get after it.
Yeah.
And I think it's so funny where the switch kind of flipped for me where I was like, that was such extra motivation. Like, I am so dialed in, and trust me, like, it is a grind.
Yeah.
But every time I'm like taking a step backwards, I'm like, no. Fuck that guy. And this is what we're going to do. There's, Ozempic, like, that's a whole separate thing. But
Yeah.
it's just funny when you brought up the kids
Yeah.
and the actions and the showing
Yeah.
up. And that doesn't get talked about enough, I feel. I don't
No.
think it.
No,
you
it doesn't.
Exactly. And I see you guys, oh my God, that's discipline. There is a commitment that you're doing this hard thing every day and you just do it. Right? And I think people think, it shows up in business. Like, think about real estate. Everyone thinks, oh, it's so hard. It's just, well, yeah. But tell me one thing that's worth doing that isn't hard.
That's it.
I can't think of a
Yeah.
single thing. I mean,
No.
the first building you bought, the first deal. I mean, what was your first deal like?
Nervous as shit, man.
Yeah, what was it? Was it multifamily?
Yeah, 6-unit. Was
Still
the
own
first
it?
yeah, Spruce Street.
Oh, in Manchester?
Yeah, in Manchester. 6-unit on
Any
Spruce.
tree street in any city, because we own on Pine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We all know how that goes.
Yeah.
Not ideal.
But I'll tell you what,
Yeah.
man, that's my best producing property right now.
Isn't that funny how that
Yeah,
works?
it's crazy.
Yeah,
Like,
you're
I was
sitting in our first multifamily.
Yeah.
But when we got started, it was the tree streets, and I get it, sort of. But I guess if you're an absentee landlord and you just let things go, then yeah, it's probably going to be bad if you pay attention to what's
Yeah.
going on. I mean, you can make anything work.
Yep.
Yeah, and there is a lot of absentee landlords.
Yes.
There is a lot. Kind of bringing it back to where we were going
Yep.
before. So you leave the corporate job, you tell your wife we're going to do this real estate thing. You didn't even know what the hell that meant.
Yeah, she probably still doesn't.
Walk us through that conversation, because I think that's something anybody who listens to this down the road is going to be like, all right, if I go to make a transition, I got to talk to my partner, my spouse.
Yeah.
What was that like?
Well, I mean, we have obviously a great relationship, and she knew I was doing this on the side, while I was working. She knew I was building it up. No, like, knew as in I would tell her, and I know you own some properties. That's about the extent, right? But then she saw when the PE came in, like me coming home from the job, just being like, no,
You were just
I can't
totally
do this. Yeah,
defeated,
like
totally
I can't
miserable.
do this. And I know we're making, really good salary here. And she hadn't worked for a while. She used to work in corporate as well.
Yep.
She would drive into Boston, which was terrible. I said, you got to get out of that. She'd come home miserable at Cambridge, actually.
Oh, yeah, that was the same thing.
friggin'
She was driving to MIT.
horrible.
I remember that.
She leave at
Yeah,
4:30 in
that's
the
what I'm
morning.
saying.
But isn't it funny though? Like, again, how disciplined people are.
Yeah.
Our wives. Hannah
Oh,
would
gosh.
leave at 4:30 in the morning to get to the gym before work.
Yep.
To then get home at 7:00 at night.
Yep.
We get dinner. We get some time together, and she'd do it again.
Yeah.
And she did that grind, and that is what people don't see. We knew it wasn't forever. We found it a different way, but she put her head down and got to
That's
work.
it.
And it sounds like a
Yeah,
similar
same,
kind of
same thing.
here.
She was doing it same thing. She'd leave at 4 or 4:30. She'd work out. She wouldn't get home till 7:30. So I had kid duty all the time, which is fine. It's getting them ready,
Daddy
especially
Chesney
when they were
over
little.
here,
But it's fun. And that sidetrack there, but then having that conversation, being like, listen, I don't have the money. Like, you might have to, like, now we're losing insurance. Like, what does that look like? So we talked, and like, I gotta do it. I'm gonna try it. Like, I can't stay here any longer.
Yeah.
Like, it's time to go. Like, this is not ending well. And I said, worst case scenario, if something happens, they can always go back and get a corporate job. Like,
We said
Yeah.
the same thing too.
like, it's corporate. You know,
100%.
I can
I mean, we didn't lose the experience. We have it.
Well, you get the knowledge.
Yeah.
But
And-
now you've been doing this
Yeah.
for a few years. You've obviously been doing it for a few years, just as long as I have. Actually, technically longer. Matt bought a multifamily in Haverhill. I was going to go to the details. And I didn't.
Yeah, no, we don't have to go into the details.
It's a 2/9 family. With 3 garages, and it's just an absolute shit show. Moneymaker, they're like crazy. Kids getting away with murder, dude. It's legit like a 2-family makes them like 10 grand a month. It's just insane. But staying with that, and I've never really talked about this before. I don't remember when the switch flipped. Maybe when we closed a couple of deals, but there was a moment where I was like, okay, I can always go back. And now, like, I could never
No.
go work for somebody again.
Yeah.
It just kind of happened. But when the switch flips,
Yeah.
knowing what I know now, like 0% chance.
Can't.
Yeah, like I think the entrepreneur mindset, when you are fully in it, I think it's a superpower. Because it's not that I don't stress about like money and revenue and everything coming in. It's that I just know, like, we will figure it out. Like we don't wholesale. We made 200 grand wholesaling this year already on deals. Mm-hmm. And I don't mean that in like a braggadocious, like that's not where I'm going to go with it. The point is like, those are things that just happened that didn't fit our core, like to keep buy box. And you just figure it out. Like it just, different things happen. Are you guys both at that point? I got to imagine, like, you can never see yourself working for somebody else ever again, right?
No. To your point, I don't even know if I ever thought of it like that, like the way you just presented it, but I do remember vividly us saying, well, if it doesn't work, we can go back.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it was probably Pine Street or Amherst Street, maybe where around that time where it was like, I just never thought about going back. I still haven't thought about going back. I think this is just it, but
It's just an iteration.
yeah.
Yeah, agree. Same,
Yeah,
like
just-
once you get to a point, you're like, all right, it gives you that time freedom, you know, and that's what and granted, I still need to get further along than where I am right now in order to really make it happen and survive the way I need to, but we'll figure it out.
And
Yeah, figure it out
that's
along
the
the way. Yeah.
superpower. That is that right there is the gold.
Yeah.
Once you know you will figure it out, and it's because you're doing it and you're putting yourself in that uncomfortable position. And it's like when you first get started, you don't want to go to that uncomfortable position. You got to.
Yeah.
Because the gold is on the other side of that uncomfortable position. The minute we get uncomfortable, we figure it out, we work through it, boom, it's on the other side.
That's it.
And yeah, I guess I never really thought of putting it all together like that. That really is it. It's like you just said, like some of our early deals, dude, I remember like we would have to do all this creative finance and hard money. I tell people all the time, like we own our entire portfolio with $0 in it. I never even thought of that until I was at an event and some guy's like, yeah, buy real estate with zero money and $0. I'm like, this fucking scam artist. And then I'm talking to one of my buddies at the event and I go, fuck, I'm the scam artist. I was like, fuck, we don't have any money in any of our stuff. Because we literally didn't. We did not. We just had to figure it out. We had to do creative finance. We had to do so many different deals. And now it's like the flywheel starts. But when you want it bad enough, dude, I remember being so obsessed, just being like, can we just get to 10 grand a month? Like, I can't even imagine making 6 figures from real estate. Life is going to be the greatest thing in the world. And now it's like, yeah, we're traveling here, we're traveling this. And now it's like the next stress. It's like
That's
the
it.
next problem.
Yeah.
All right, and that's the next shift, because that's one thing I don't think we talk about enough. What is the motivation? What is the continued growth, right? When is enough enough? Do you have an ending point, or you just think of it like a game now? Like, what do you guys think about that? Because I think of it like a game. Like I'm playing a game, and the game just multiplies and just folds in on itself. I don't even think about numbers as much anymore. Like, we still take, how do we do owner's row? We do like once a month, right?
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, we do like once a month. I hate that. I want to get to a point where it's just like every quarter we distribute whatever's in that quarter is what we do. But it's like the last little like holding on to that employee mindset.
Yeah.
That part definitely comes from my wife. That's terrified. That's not a me and Matt thing. That's her like, it's got to be this date with these bills. You know what I mean? But it's so weird. Like I remember when you don't get a paycheck the first time.
Yeah.
And you're like, well, do I still write myself a check? Like what? Like how the fuck's that work? Like what was like the first time you took a distribution from a rental property?
So to be honest, I don't take a lot of distributions yet, but I pay for a lot of stuff with the money. So I'm not officially taking it out and then paying. I'll just pay for it with that account from the property.
Yep.
So that way it
So basically,
takes
the
down my
properties, the
expenses.
assets are supplying
Correct.
your
It's
lifestyle,
so like
lowering
if I
your taxable
wanted,
income.
like for my car or some of my cable bills or different payments.
You know you're getting audited after this episode now. Right?
Yeah,
Like, they're
yeah.
coming to you. Now,
But I don't.
you better have a
No,
good
I don't.
CPA, bro.
I don't track it. I don't track it through the apartment.
Baker Newman noise.
Yeah,
yeah, of course.
yeah. No,
We're
I
gonna
don't.
get
I don't
an email
actually
after
write it
this.
off through the apartment.
I get what
I
you're
just
saying.
use that spare money as my distribution.
I get what you're saying. And,
Yeah. But
That's what I
and that's where it's like, all right, this is like not awesome, but it's great that I can
it is
now
awesome. You could say it's awesome.
supplement this additional expense with this property and not worry about this property.
dude, it is awesome.
I mean,
it
and
goes back
that's-
to what he said. Like,
Yeah.
you feel like, I'm sure when he told Amy, it's like a little, like, James Bondish. Like,
Yeah.
I'm a real estate investor. Like,
I invest in real estate.
it's fucking great, right?
Yeah.
Like, people ask all the time, like, what? I love it when I was like, where do you live? I'm like, how do I answer that one without sounding like a dick?
Oh, yeah.
Like, Montana, Arizona.
Or when you say you're a real estate investor and they're like, oh, okay, like I'm looking to buy something.
they think
or
you're an
Yeah.
agent.
They think you're an
They
agent.
think you're an agent.
Yeah.
That happened yesterday. I was like, no.
Yeah, always.
No.
Always.
You got to create that pitch. That
I'll give that pitch.
Sales
I'll tell them
pitch.
these sales pitch. Okay, we could do 4 episodes on agents and all the things wrong. I fucking hate real estate agents. I think it's, I probably just piss some more people off again, but I don't know. But I don't know. Like I said, I think I love the world. I love the real estate investing. I love everything we talked about. I love where we're going. Bill, where can people find a little bit more about KB4 if they want to get in touch with you?
KB4 Property Group. It's me and my brother. Like I said, we're growing our portfolio, been expanding, growing over the past couple of years with help, coaching. We're on Instagram, Facebook. We have our website, KB4PropertyGroup.com. You could always reach out to me. I'm on the website, so easy to find.
He's on there.
We're trying not to hide, so hopefully you've seen us. But
Yeah, you're doing a great job. Go give him a follow. And again, check us on Instagram, Michael Ketchen. And as always, bet on yourself.